Hello, everybody. It's Jeff Lightsey Jr. from the Black Boss Channel, and I have my man Tony Lindsay here, the filmmaker. And we're here today to talk about all things stock market. What is happening with AMC, GameStop, Naked, all these different BlackBerry, all these different stocks, and seeing them going up and down and all across the board. And Tony's here to discuss what he's seeing on his end. I'll talk about what I'm seeing on my end. And Tony, just what have you seen today from the market that has just left everybody, the internet, in shambles about what's going on with Robinhood and other investment apps?
Yeah, well, what I saw was a very strategic, well thought out play, and I'm watching it take place in real time. Everybody's panicking right now because what you're seeing right now is how I call it. It's the 1% like uniting and forming Voltron against the average person. That's the way that this is coming. And it's being played out through a lot of these trading apps that we see out there. I mean, there's a lot of pressure that's coming from these hedge fund managers, these billionaires, and even prominent members of Congress, because you have to remember, a lot of these Congress people have a vested interest in the stock market and the way things are playing out right now. So I think there's so much influence coming from these short sellers and these hedge funds that it's that pressure. Like Robinhood is getting like the bulk of that pressure right now. And we know why, because there are a lot of new traders, young new traders that have been afforded a platform through Robinhood. And Robinhood actually makes things a lot easier for people to understand. So a lot of the younger generation, let's say millennials, new investors, they gravitate to Robinhood. And what we saw this morning with that coordinated attack of the establishment, so to speak, is that they basically took your right away from you to buy any more of those stocks. And that's what has everyone in a panic right now. They're preventing you from buying these stocks. And well, particularly GameStop, AMC, Bed Bath and Beyond, BlackBerry,
Yes,
Nokia.
yes.
Yeah.
So I can read off the names of some of the stocks that have been removed by Rob. So what Tony's talking about. So this morning we've been seeing a big, massive change in Wall Street. And so we've literally seen guys from the internet be able to take over essentially for the last couple days, take over Wall Street, which is supposed to be this billion-dollar market ran by big hedge funds, ran by people in New York and Washington, D.C. And we've seen guys in Reddit chat rooms that maybe on their computers or on their cell phones or whatever, literally overhaul the whole thinking of Wall Street. So what Tony's talking about this morning, Robinhood stopped the trading of a lot of these stocks that we saw skyrocket, go from $2 and $3. GameStop went as high as almost $400 as of yesterday.
Like
so here's the number
today.
450. Wow, that is that is crazy. So here's the names of some of the stocks that have been removed. So Robinhood has stopped the trading of AMC, BlackBerry, GameStop, Naked International, COS, Nokia, and then among other ones, any ones that were mentioned in the Wall Street Bets chat room. All of those have been removed. And so that is what's taking place. And that is what has the whole financial world, the whole stock market in a frenzy. Now, this is something that's unprecedented, Tony. Like, what do you think are some of the repercussions that'll come from something like this taking place?
I think this is an unprecedented attack on free speech and speculation. I mean, just think about it. What is it? What is one of the most driving forces when you're using one of these trading apps? You're reading these articles that are written by these analysts, everyone's speculating, but it's okay for them to do it. But when, average Joe Schmo or average social media user decides to do it, it's market manipulation. They've been manipulating the market for as long as the market has been there. The problem is now, they're basically telling us, no, only the ultra wealthy are supposed to be the ones making money, not you guys.
Well, I think there's something really interesting. I'm gonna share my screen. Now, this is once again, this is not financial advice. I don't want anybody to think that we're telling them what to buy,
Right,
what
right.
to sell, any of that stuff. We got to make that clear. Oh, and be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, because we're gonna be diving into a lot of this different stuff. Now, I'm gonna share my screen. Once again, it might be, you can call it conspiracy theory or whatever, but it is something interesting to look at. First, we're going to look at what exactly Robinhood said on why they decided to suspend some of these shares, some of these stocks on their app. So Robinhood, in their official statement, said our mission at Robinhood is to democratize finance for all. We're proud to have created a platform that has helped everyday people from all backgrounds shape the financial futures and invest for long term. We continuously monitor the markets and make changes where necessary. In light of recent volatility, we are restricting the transactions of certain securities to position closing only. So therefore, you can only sell or close. You can't buy any of these shares. So this is all these right here, all of these stocks. And we also raised the margin for requirements for certain securities. Dr. Boyce talked about that yesterday. He said, amid the significant market volatility, it's important as ever to help customers stay informed. That's why we've committed to providing people educational resources. We recently revamped and expanded Robinhood's Learn to help people take advantage of hundreds of financial resources we offer and educate themselves on how to make sense of volatile market. In 2020, more than 3.2 million people have read our articles through Robinhood Learn. So here's the thing, Tony. They don't tell us why they decided to stop the buying of those. Like
right.
am I crazy? I just read it out. It doesn't sound like
It's the most vague language that you will ever see, but it is also being presented to you as for your own protection. You see, that's the way that they're doing it. We're going to put all of these regulations, we're going to implement these regulations to stop you from making money for your own protection. I'm watching CNN and CNBC and all of these stations. They're martyring all of these poor billionaires who are suffering because of the actions of these retail investors. This is absolutely ridiculous. But a lot of people, I don't know if you know, but the CEO, her name is Friedman, the CEO at NASDAQ. Mm-hmm. She announced this like early yesterday that they were going to like limit the trading if they see any sort of unusual activity linked to social media chatter. Now, that is extremely vague. And basically what's encompassed in that language? Okay, so if someone talks about a stock on social media and that stock just happens to surge based on what I'm seeing by, let's say, more than 20% in a day, we're going to say that's suspicious and we're going to limit the trading on that. They also limited the trading on American Airlines, on Robinhood, and they're doing it on now TD Ameritrade. See, we thought it was just going to be exclusive to Robinhood, but as I was saying this morning, I was doing a video this morning, I was saying it's going to extend beyond Robinhood because the influence, see, this is like a major standoff right now that you're seeing between the 1% and everybody else, and no one is backing down.
Yeah, so it's crazy because, like you said, there was no real explanation. It was just, we're doing it for your protection. Well, I'm an adult, right? Like, I should be able to protect myself, especially when it's my money. It's not like I'm gonna lose my life if I invest my whole entire savings in Nokia, right? And it crashes and I don't make any money. It's not like I'm gonna lose my life if I invest my 401k in GameStop, right? Like all of that comes back on me. But at the same time, like, I get it if you're putting lives in danger, but this is my money. Like, this is my, does that make sense? Like, this is what I own.
But they're also preventing you from making money on your money. You have to remember that as well.
Yeah.
Because they're only allowing you to trade in one direction now. So what they're doing is, we know that all of this is basically a short squeeze, right?
Absolutely.
On these greedy hedge fund short sellers, this is a short squeeze. So it's going in one direction. But by Robinhood doing what they're doing and TD Ameritrade, they're actually short squeezing the short squeeze.
Wow. I didn't think about it like that. Once again, I'm talking to Mr. Tony Lindsay, the film director. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. Now, Tony, I'm going to throw something at you, a theory that I saw on the internet, because, you know, I scourged the internet for all kinds of theories, trying to find answers, trying to find, you know, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. And this is a theory that I saw. So Robinhood, as we know, will be public at some point. And it says Robinhood is working on an IPO and wants to have good relations with these hedge funds who will either build up its stock or destroy it when it goes public. Right now, they don't care about legality. Tony, tell me your thoughts on Robinhood potentially trying to save their own IPO when it decides to go public. That's something I didn't think about until I saw it on the internet.
I heard some chatter about that, but I think that would be a huge mistake because I think they're wrong. They're wrongly assessing where the real power lies, because the power lies in the people who are investing in that IPO, the people who are putting money in there. So once again, you're seeing another miscalculation on behalf of the 1%. Everything, they're focusing all of their interests in one direction. But I think what we're seeing from this Reddit group, Wall Street Bets, what we're seeing is how, well, the power of social media. And I think that's actually, it might come back. It is going to come back to hurt us, because we're seeing basically an all-out assault on free speech. That's how I look at it. I think we're always being sold the notion that we must be restricted in the name of protection. We have to have our rights extracted from us for our own protection. That's why you're seeing so much censorship all over the media, all over social media and everywhere else. Oh, we're protecting you. Be afraid. Come on, hold on. We know what's best. And that's in a way what's happening right now. Hold on. We know what's best. That's your money in there. But guess, no. We'll decide. Don't buy anymore. We're going to force you to sell it. And remember, now that they're forcing you to sell it, and this is the problem I have with what I'm seeing on Robinhood, because I use Robinhood, but I also use TD Ameritrade. I use Webull. I use Interactive Brokers. I use multiple trading apps. But with Robinhood, I noticed that I'm basically they're forcing me to lose money.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And the app crashes so much, you can't even execute an order. Like, you can even just try to, execute a market order. You can't do anything. It just gets stuck. So I tried to dump my Naked. I had some shares in Naked. I tried to dump it this morning when it was like $3 or something like that.
Yeah.
And anybody that knows, I think Naked was trading at like 35 cents just like last week or something like that.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So I tried to dump it. I couldn't sell it.
Wow.
For like half hour, I'm watching my order pending. So I'm trying to cancel it so I can do it again. It won't let me cancel. And I'm watching the shares plummet. So that's just a tiny example of how so many people have been trapped, unable to do anything with their stocks, and they're losing money. So how is that for our protection?
And that's what doesn't make sense. It's like you said, you're trying to protect us, but at the same time, you're gouging our eyes out, right? Like, like I saw the example, because I'm a big sports guy. I saw the example of, right, like, say me and you were playing a basketball game, right? And I'm up 20 points or 5 points, and it's like a minute left in the fourth quarter. I'm up 15 points, a minute left in the fourth quarter. And because you're losing, right, and you're Tony, you're the big filmmaker, you're the really good basketball team, we add 20 minutes to the quarter. It's like, no, we can't add 20 minutes to the quarter. I'm winning. I'm about to win. I'm like, there's 30 seconds left. I'm up 20 points. I'm about to win. But it's like, no, we add 20 minutes to the quarter. Or if we're playing a football game, and I got 11 men on the field and I'm winning, and your team's losing, and you decide, okay, let's let Tony have 20 men on the field.
They're changing the rules.
Team's losing. Like, that's not fair, right? Like, that's
they're changing the rules to help them.
Exactly.
to help the elite.
Now, I thought that was the thing when I went live with boys yesterday. I thought we'd see some sort of regulation, right? Like I thought it would come. I didn't think you would change it on the fly. Like I didn't think you would just stop people from being able to buy and sell.
Yeah.
I thought you might limit the shares. I thought they might stop the sale at some, or stop the buying at some point, but to just not allow people to buy it at all on one complete platform is just insane, right?
Yeah, I think that's it was a temporary, it was like a, how would I put it? It was a rushed response based out of panic, because these guys were losing a lot of money. So they had to trigger some type of a switch. They had to, they had to halt everything. And then it's like, okay, we'll figure the rest out with some form of legislation. But for right now, we're going to have to put a halt on all of this, give you some, pull some obscure reasoning out and just, pretty much what happens. We all buy whatever's being sold to us by the mainstream media anyway. So I don't even see that much pushback, which is actually amazing to me. So we're in dangerous territory right now, man, because they're not even hiding the malfeasance anymore. They're just putting it right out on Front Street.
That's crazy. Now, Tony, I'm gonna throw another theory that I saw. That I saw this on via Barstool president Dave Portnoy. Now, I don't know if you know anything about Barstool, but Dave Portnoy is he's an interesting a white dude who runs an internet. Place, and he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. But he's one of those people that seem to really be a fan of like free speech, right? Like he's more of a right wing person. He hates big government. He was a Trump guy, so he's controversial in itself. But one thing that he has connections. When you're worth hundreds of millions of dollars, you seem to get to talk to people. And this was a screenshot of his text messages that he posted online for everybody to see. Now, I want you to see what your thoughts on this is. It says Prez, they call him the Barstool president. So he says, Prez, Citadel bails out Melvin Capital. So then Ken Griffin calls up Robinhood CEO Vlad and says, don't allow buying of GME, which is GameStop, AMC, Naked, and etc. anymore. Citadel handles 60% of Robinhood's trades. Basically, Robinhood needs Citadel / Ken Griffin. Does that make sense? And he says this theory seems valid, and he adds Robinhood. What are your thoughts on that message Barstool put out this morning?
Whoa. That's a serious conflict of interest right there.
That's what I was thinking.
I think that's going to open the door to a major class action lawsuit.
That's what he was saying. That is exactly what he said. The lawsuits are going to come.
They're going to flood in.
Yes, because of that message that he just put out, which we don't have any proof. Let me throw that out there. We don't know if that is true, but that is a theory that he is putting out there. And if that is true, like you said, the class action lawsuits will come in by the power. I think they were coming anyway, because there were people who were dumping their life savings right into some of these stocks. And now because people can't buy them, they're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions. I don't know, but I've seen theories of people losing a lot of money. But what are your thoughts on that whole Citadel Robinhood kind of why they're cutting off buying? It seems kind of crazy to me, don't you think?
Yeah, that's really crazy. And the craziest thing is, it's like their allegiance is so tight to these hedge funds and these short sellers. What that pretty much tells us is that this whole stock market thing is pretty much a scam against us. If you think about it, it's pretty much a scam against us. And the crazy thing that's in this conversation, the narrative, we're talking about all of these multi-billion-dollar companies that are losing a couple of $1 billion here. I think one of these companies that you mentioned, I think they're down 15%. Their portfolio. I know Melvin Capital, man. They're like, I'm hearing they're getting ready to file for bankruptcy.
Wow.
Soon. Yeah. But what's crazy is there are so many more of them out there. And this has been going on for so long. Why are we talking about the money they're losing, but we're not talking about all the money that people like us lose all over the country? Like, we've all been losing money because specifically of a lot of these short sellers who have an interest in driving the prices of these stocks down. And in many cases, ruining these companies, destroying their ability to even keep their employees. People are losing jobs because of short sellers. Now, in some cases, short sellers serve a good purpose. They can expose real fraud and malfeasance on the part of certain corporations. But at the same time, it's become so unrestricted and unregulated that they just publish any sort of hit piece and it will tank a stock even after it gets good news. So why have they not been held accountable for doing this for the longest amount of time? And the moment that the average retail investor says, you know what, hold on, I don't like the way that they're trying to destroy GameStop. Everybody's a gamer. Everybody knows what's going on. We don't want this to happen. You know what? We're going to support this company and we're going to drive these short sellers out of here.
Yes, no, that is literally how this entire thing started, right? Like, if you don't remember, the reason why GameStop stocks shot through the roof is because a big time short seller, I can't think of his name, it's escaping me right now, had bet against GameStop. Him and his company said, this stock is going to tank, this stock is garbage, we're buying the shorts on this because it is trash. And the Wall Street bet guys over in Reddit was like, oh, hell no. Like, you're not stopping. This is our childhood. This is our company. This is GameStop. We're going to buy it up. And so once they bought it up, it forced the shorts, the guy who bought all the shorts, to buy it up. And that's how GameStop shot through the roof. Like, that's literally how it worked. They attacked GameStop to try to get the stock to tank.
And they attacked it back.
Reverse. It worked in reverse. It backfired. And so there was no backlash to that. Them trying to tank GameStop, but now the GameStop and AMC and these other
this backlash for helping GameStop.
Yes, that's what that makes sense.
That's market manipulation for helping to boost the portfolio of GameStop, boosting their market cap. That's the manipulation, not the other way around.
And that makes absolutely no sense, because the people who benefit from, who were going to benefit if GameStop went under, right, betting those shorts, are guys that are worth millions of dollars, are guys that are doing this, but the ones who actually helped reverse it were 22-year-old kids like my brother, right? Like, we're 22, you know what I mean? Like Reddit users, guys that are on the internet scrounging, trying to make a quick buck. And they actually were able to do so. And it's like somebody, the big bad wolf, said, oh, no, those guys are having too much fun. Those guys are making too much money. We need to shut that down. And that to me is insane.
Wow.
Yes, that is to me is insane. Tony, I know I keep pulling up stuff. I want to show you something else that actually made me chuckle, right? So we know that all of this is taking place, and we know what type of political climate that we're in, and how the right wingers hate the left wingers, and the Democrats hate the Republicans, and
everyone's uniting under this.
Yeah, on this platform, we're black first anyway, so none of that stuff really matters to us. But I did find this kind of funny. So we know AOC is a controversial left-wing person, and then we know the Trumps and how much everybody hates the Trumps. But there's actually something that these people actually agree with. So this is AOC. She says, gotta admit, it's really something to see Wall Streeters with a long history of treating our economy as a casino complain about a message board or poster. She's talking about Reddit. Also treating the market like a casino. So that was her stance. So she's all in on what's taking place with Reddit. Now, this is from Donnie Jr. Donald Trump actually agrees with AOC. It took less than a day for big tech, big government, and corporate media to spring into action and begin colluding to protect their hedge fund buddies on Wall Street. This is a rigged system. It's what it looks like, folks. And he hashtag Robinhood, Reddit Army, GME, and GME to the moon. So we actually have politicians on both sides of the aisle, on both sides of the fence, actually agreeing and saying that this is unfair, saying that this shouldn't be taking place. Do you think that will have an impact on trying to help some of the little guys and some of that? Do you think that helps at all?
I think that this is actually a very good thing that we're seeing take place, because for the longest time, the establishment has been united against us. And I think the fact that we view everything through such a hyper-partisan lens, we view each other as enemies, and we're so busy fighting each other that we fail to see the real enemy of the people, which is the corporate establishment. So I think something like this that galvanizes people on both sides of the aisle, people of all ideological, positions. I think that this is a wonderful thing to see so many people uniting behind the same concept, because at the end of the day, it's rich versus poor in this country. You know, we live in a, I mean, I don't have anything against capitalism. You know what I'm saying? I think capitalism is a good thing, but I also think that when you have capitalism with no form of safety nets in it, it kind of, it destroys, it implodes on itself. So I'm happy to see, you know, people on the left and the right, but then at the same time, I think, you know, there's some, do we really believe that they're not being a little disingenuous right now? Some people,
the politicians. You think
yeah.
the politicians are? Why is that? What makes you say that?
Yeah, because I mean, we know where a lot of their interests are. I just think that due to social media right now, I think it's very easy to ride a wave and get more support in order for you to take that support and use it for leverage to make more money. So it's like, where were all of these voices before this big top story? That's what matters to me. Why weren't you talking about it before?
Well, what I will say to that was,
or doing anything about it.
Yeah, I think because maybe it, I mean, this is not me trying to defend a politician at all, right? Like, let's not get it twisted. But I will say the story is definitely a trending topic. So it's hot, right? Like, this might not have been on the top of AOC's priority list, but maybe now she sees that it's taking place. Maybe now Donald Trump, you know, obviously all of these guys for the last couple months have been trying to either get Joe Biden, or get Trump reelected. And now they had no idea what was taking place on the stock market. Or maybe they did and just didn't really care or didn't want to pay attention or whatever. But now that it is a trending topic on Twitter, now that someone does see, well, to me, I will say this goes right up the Republicans out. Like, they're more the like less government, let us do, like, that's more of their style anyway. Now on the AOC's part or the Democrats' part, it is a little different because we have seen them push more big government. We've seen them push more like, hey, we want to run this, we want more regulations and stuff like that. So I will say it's more of a Republican style thing to actually push back on something like this.
Yes,
but I do think it is popular. It is a popular thing to say, hey, I'm with the little guy. Like, you voted me in, now I'm with the little guy, and I want to make sure you get your money. Wouldn't you say that? I would think so.
I agree, but I also think that the proof will be in the pudding when we see the types of regulations and legislation that come out of this, specifically from the Democrats, because this is a anti-regulation type of argument. You know what I'm saying? And we know that Democrats tend to be more, government, imposition. So at the end of the day, it boils down to what we see as far as legislation. I think there was a little bit of Joe Biden didn't really express too much interest in what's going on right now. He got other things to worry about. The symbolism stuff.
Absolutely. Now, we brought in, Tony, I brought in this guy who seems to might know a little bit about something about this kind of stuff. Dr. Boyce, how is it going, sir? I know you're seeing everything that's taking place with the Robinhood stock. Me and Tony have been discussing all thing and everything, but what was your reaction when you woke up, or maybe you were already up because I know you don't sleep much, when you saw that Robinhood and other trading platforms had shut down AMC, GameStop, and all those from buying, and only that you can close or sell? What was your initial reaction?
First of all, I'm not going to stay long. I want you brothers to do your thing, man. I'm enjoying the show. This is really great analysis. And basically, it's funny. I happened to have a conversation this morning with a brother by the name of the Wall Street Trapper, who's a real smart guy. And and one of the things that he mentioned that made me think a little bit is he said that he thinks that it could be possible that this isn't really as much of a populist movement as we might think. That rather than us thinking it's purely grassroots and all that, he said, when he mentioned that, it made me think about the fact that there are lots of examples where there are alleged grassroots movements that are not really grassroots. Like Black Lives Matter wasn't a grassroots movement. That was well funded, well organized, etc. Not that it was bad, it just wasn't. And so same thing. The Tea Party movement, if you remember that. They gave the impression that it was grassroots, but it wasn't. It was well funded, well organized, etc. So when he mentioned that, I said, you might have a point. It could be the case that there are some Wall Street fat cats who are mad at other Wall Street fat cats who said, we're going to go in here, we're going to create a hornet's nest of chaos that is going to cause you problems economically. Now, with that said, I don't care, what the origin is. Honestly, I think Robinhood. I would love to understand their logic in shutting down all the trading. The way they structured the shutdown, in my view, is in such a way that the price can only go down. When you say everyone can sell but no one can buy,
right?
That's crazy. That's like saying that all the men can have sex but no women allowed. that don't make no sense.
That's the short squeeze of the squeeze.
Right, you get no reproduction out of that. You'll only get, you'll get something else, but you're gonna get no reproduction, right? So my thing is, I think Robinhood should answer for that. And remember, it wasn't sort of a broad system-wide shutdown of the trading of the stock. It was Robinhood and a couple other apps.
Right.
And if I'm a Robinhood investor, which I am, and if I'm a Reddit user who's on Robinhood, I'm pissed over this. This is crazy. It's ridiculous.
One thing I did notice, though, we have to also acknowledge, though, that Robinhood has infused a huge amount of investors into the market right now. Yes. And they represent a large portion of the activity that we see here. Mm-hmm. So when you limit their ability, that inflicts a direct blow to this movement that we're seeing right now. So it is very impactful. And the crazy thing is, the average investor is not going to realize that. One thing we know with a short squeeze, with this sort of a short squeeze, the methodology of it is buy it, don't sell it, right? Mm-hmm. Buy, don't sell it. Robinhood is specifically forcing people to sell it. Mm-hmm. Right. But most people don't realize, because I spoke to a few people this morning. Like, I've been on the phone with different like option traders and all morning. And a lot of people don't realize that you can still sell it. It's just that someone on Robinhood is not going to be able to buy it.
Wow.
Right. So a lot of the new Robinhood investors, they're just looking at things through the lens of Robinhood.
Yes.
But there are still people actively trading on the other apps. So what I did this morning, I was encouraging people, listen, get off Robinhood. Even if you don't get rid of Robinhood, go to Webull, go to TD Ameritrade, go to E-Trade, go, wherever you have to go, because you can still get rid of it. You can still buy more if you want. But I would not advise. I'm not advising anyone to buy anything right now. Things are too extremely volatile. Go ahead. Sorry.
Now, what I was saying, I tried to get on Webull this morning. Now, I can't speak for anybody, and people in the chat, let me know if you found this too. When I tried to get on Webull this morning, it wouldn't allow me to open an account. Now, I already had a TD Ameritrade account. I already had a Robinhood account. Right. But when I went to verify and open an account on Webull, it was shut down. Like, it wouldn't allow me to stay. And I also talked to some of my people, some of my friends, and said their stash accounts weren't working. Their Acorns account weren't working. So this isn't like you said, this isn't just a Robinhood issue. This is something that we're seeing cross platforms, and that's now affecting everyone.
Yeah, it's a ripple effect. It is definitely a ripple effect that's affecting all the trading platforms. But you have to remember, we also are seeing an historic level of activity in the market. So it's causing all of these apps to crash. Like, sometimes I can get access to my accounts through my browser. Sometimes I can get to it through my phone, but it's getting very difficult. But they're also making it a lot harder. They're implementing new restrictions and qualifications in order for you to get approved to even get on these platforms now, and especially options trading. They've modified the criteria for it. So that's another thing.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting that you said that, Doc. I remember yesterday we were talking. You were saying basically for the future, you believe that they're going to set like a price limit, like you have to have so much in your account. And me and Tony read through the Robinhood, like the disclaimer, basically why they shut down certain stocks, why you aren't allowed. They said they didn't give a reason, right? Like, they just said these stocks aren't allowed to be bought right now. They're only allowed to be sold. And at a certain point, at certain accounts, you have to have so much money in your account. How were you Nostradamus in picking that? Like, what what did you know, or what did you kind of figure out that made you think that was something that was going to happen? Because now it's saying that in certain accounts, you're going to have a limit. Like it didn't say a price, but it's basically saying what you said yesterday, either 25,000, 30,000, some kind of set amount of money. That way they're not caught in the crossfires and whenever this storm continues to happen. What kind of made you think that?
The most cynical way to describe that expectation is to say that there are people that want to keep you locked out. They want to make sure this is a game that's played by people that have money in their pocket. They don't want broke 22-year-olds jacking up the market. They want the wealthy 50-year-olds making all the money, right? That's the most cynical view one could have, and I don't think that's completely invalid. A less cynical view would be to say that Robinhood is exposed to this double-edged sword of non-accountability that exists in our society, meaning that when people want to go hard and go gunslinging and invest their money like crazy, they want to be free. I want freedom to do what I want. But then when the shit hits the fan, the next thing you know, you done lost your whole life savings. People want to turn and they want to sue Robinhood and say, hey, you shouldn't have let me trade. You didn't know what I didn't know what I was doing, dude. It was your fault. You should have stopped me, right? And I don't buy that crap. I'm like, no, you knew if you're gonna take the upside, you gotta take the downside too. But that's not how the courts work. They're like when that lady got sued for spilling the McDonald's hot coffee on her lap. I was like, what did McDonald's do to is it their fault because they made you some hot coffee that you asked for? I don't get that.
That's right.
So remember, Robinhood has to deal with that. They had a young guy that lived actually about 20 miles from my house that killed himself because he went trading options like crazy. Yes. And somehow he thought he owed $250,000 or whatever. And just so you know, anybody watching, never kill yourself over something silly. Like don't kill yourself, period. But if you was to do it, don't do it for something silly. Right. But so I think that some of their reaction is due to the fact that in general, we're used to our stock markets having stability. Yeah. This ain't stable. This GameStop stuff ain't stable. And what's going to happen too is that there's some people that are going to get hurt. I know people that have made $100,000 like off of this, right? They're like, oh, the market's moving like crazy. I'm gonna drop 20 grand, flip it into 100. Like there are people that are doing that. But the thing is that options, especially, that's pretty much what they call a zero-sum game. That means when you're making money, somebody's losing money.
That's right.
So what's going to happen is after the dust is settled, I'm going to stop talking after I say this part. After the dust has settled, there are going to be victims. And that is going to lead to liability for Robinhood, which gives them, to some extent, a legitimate interest in minimizing the volatility. I just think they're doing it in the wrong way. I think they're going to lose. I think that their customers are going to be pissed. And also, anybody who is a Robinhood customer, this is a cue to you. Don't just have a Robinhood account. I have about 6-7 different accounts I can trade from. And while you were talking, Jeff, I went on E-Trade to see if I could actually buy a put. I bought a deep out of the money put option on E-Trade stock. I was able to buy it on E-Trade. So
which stock?
Account. Go ahead. It was on GameStop.
Oh, you were still able to buy an option?
I did. Well, you know what? I was able to place the order. They have not sent the confirmation back yet that the order has been executed. So, but I was able to place the order. If you go to Robinhood, you can't even place the order. They'll stop you before you even. Actually, in fact, the order was executed. So I'm looking right now. Yeah, I was able to buy my put option. It was some crappy little put option, and I was able to execute. So yeah, if you're on a different app, you can make moves.
Now, Tony, I want to ask you this because I think this is going to be interesting. We've seen, we already showed that the politicians have weighed in on this. With this Joe Biden administration, this is something that's going to hit his desk, right? How do you believe? Because we know the history of Democrats, and they're more for big government. They're more for regulation. They're more for like keeping things almost the status quo as we like from their history. Do you believe this is something that's going to hit his desk? And how do you believe he is going to react to all of this volatility throughout the stock market? Because when there's billionaires involved, policies and politics are also going to be shortly behind it.
I think it is going to hit his desk, and I think it's going to be used to exact very strict regulations upon us, basically. And, I did want to kind of piggyback off of something that Brother Boy said when he was talking about, for the longest time that the market has pretty much been stable, right? That's what we're used to, the stability of the market. But that stability has always been predicated upon losses on our part. Like the stability
Absolutely.
has been for the 1%. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
This volatility, this extreme volatility that we have seen since the beginning of the pandemic has largely served to benefit the average person, right? That's getting into the stock market, learning a little bit about it. And I don't think they wanted that. They didn't want all of these millennials and these young folks getting in their racket. So there have been, over the months, I mean, if you've watched over the last year, there have been so many negative articles written against young new investors. They've been going after Robinhood. They label you as yes, there are a lot of amateur investors, but if you look at the language that they use whenever referring to people that use Robinhood, you would think that Robinhood is just some trash app that you just toss in the garbage can. You know what I'm saying? But look what these users have done. And the last thing I want to say is about the point that this may very well be a setup. I did entertain that, but I think that it has gotten away from any level of control. I think that it has spread like wildfire, and there's no clear leadership in this movement from what I see. Like there's so many voices involved in it that is very difficult to control. And so this very harsh action that was taken by Robinhood, I think is going to spread throughout all the other trading platforms in order to just stop everything. Okay, hold on, stop. Let's breathe a minute and get things back in order for the 1% so that they can, keep the gains that they made over all of this time that we've all been trapped in our homes.
No, definitely. Once again, it's Dr. Boyce and myself, Jeff Lightsey Jr., and Mr. Tony Lindsay. We're talking about everything that is taking place, all the volatility that is taking place at the stock market today with Robinhood and other trading apps stopping the trading of GameStop, Nokia, BlackBerry, among others. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. Now, Doc, I'm going to have a piece, and Tony, I want you to chime in on this too, but I think this is going to be bigger than just trading. I think this goes way past just the stock market. I think this is going to bring some sort of regulation towards social media, because you got to think all of this started because of what took place with Reddit. And we know that the big wigs on Capitol Hill have been coming after Twitter, Facebook, all of these guys. They've been wanting a reason to shut these guys down or to take away some of their power or to take away their instant access or whatever. And so because Reddit, which is another social media platform, kind of started all of this. Well, think about this. 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, or a month ago, or we were all talking about election, vote Warnock, vote Ossoff, get Joe Biden, forget Trump, MAGA, all of that was storming to the Capitol. None of us were worried about GameStop stock. Nobody was talking about Wall Street bets on Reddit, right? And now that all of that chaos is over, the Reddit guys, when they saw that their precious GameStop, their precious, childhood memory was under fire, under attack, they all chipped in to make sure it stayed alive. They all chipped in and made some of them millionaires, some of them 100,000aires, right? Some of them a lot of money, right? So that's when it all came about. But we know for years, a lot of those guys have been at the Zuckerbergs, have been trying to regulate the Twitters and all of those guys. And now I think this is going to be more ammo in their gun, more ammunition for them to say, hey, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, whoever, we need to shut these guys down because this isn't, or some sort of regulation on these guys, because this is what they can do. They can literally change, not just force people, give people voices and censorship or whatever, but they can literally change billion-dollar industries, like billions of billion-dollar industries. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Well, you know what, man? I think you're 100% correct on that. And it's the regulations coming. They remember some of y'all are under the illusion that we live in a democracy, and that's just, it's like how most husbands will give you the impression that they're faithful to their wife until you really test them. and a lot of guys fail their tests, and I'm not judging. It just is what it is, right? It's one thing if I tell you that I'm something. It's another thing for me to actually prove it. And so, or like when T.I. was trying to go and have the doctor test his daughter's hymen to make sure she really was a virgin. It's easy to pretend to be daddy's little girl. It's hard to actually prove that. And so I think that America is in that category where we claim we have this democracy. You do not have a democracy. You have a capitalist aristocracy. Remember, both sides of the aisle, Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell, have a combined net worth of almost half $500 million. And they sit around deciding whether or not they're going to send people a $600 check. And Mitch is saying that it's too much. And Nancy's dragging her feet because she was trying to win an election. These people are playing games with you. That's what they do. And so in this context, I cannot imagine a scenario where this level of democratic power is going to be allowed to exist in this society. What you saw with Reddit, to me, was the democratization of economics, the democratization of ownership, which is a beautiful thing. But it's a socialist concept. But I like it, though, because we need socialism in our society because we're too capitalist. We need to have avenues where we can distribute wealth, where every man, woman, child on the street can participate in the same financial markets that are making the 1% very wealthy. That will cool a lot of fire in terms of why people are pissed off that Jeff Bezos is making $300 million a day, while people can't even pay the rent. But if I know that there's a direct avenue for me to own a piece of what he's got, then a lot of people will be if you put an extra 50 grand in their pocket this year, they're not going to be mad anymore, right? So, but we won't do that. We want to starve them out. So this is going to probably lead to more regulation, more oppression. They're looking for excuses to shut things down. This was a siege on the Capitol. Last week we had a siege on the Capitol with an O. This week we got a siege on the Capitol with an A. Right? They're doing a siege, and this is going to be used as a poster child to explain why we need to monitor this and regulate that. Just like the original siege was, again, another scenario where they said, "Oh, now this is our excuse. We got to shut down social media." No. You have $1 trillion military down the block at the Pentagon that could have defended that sucker in 10 minutes flat. And they sat there for 3 hours busting in the building without any serious weapons. And you claim you couldn't stop that, but you have $1 trillion military budget. No, you wanted that to happen so you can find an excuse to oppress people. That's my view. That's what I believe. So long story short, I think that this action is going to be used as an excuse to say, oh, my God, we can't allow this to happen. I think Robinhood's going to lose. And just for the record, just so y'all know, that trade, remember I told you how you can go on E-Trade and trade like right away?
Yes.
Literally in the last 5 minutes, I bought some put options at a certain strike. I sold them 5 minutes later. I made $2,000 while I was talking to you just now. So literally this is people. There are people being able to trade. You just can't trade on Robinhood because this is a specific targeted action.
All right. I hope everybody heard that. That's very important, especially for the people who have been losing money all day, just sitting back on Robinhood, watching, not even, realizing that there are other options for you to take. But I do want to say that I would say that the greatest danger to the establishment or the 1% is a somewhat unified citizenry. And I think that the hoarding of wealth that we have seen in this capitalistic system is actually causing this capitalistic system to implode upon itself. Mm-hmm. Capitalism, in order for it to be successful, I believe it does need social safety nets, because once you infuse some money into the 99%, where is it going to go? I mean, it's going to still continue to get funneled back upward. So I think we've been in a system where everything has been funneled upward in one direction, where soon they're just going to have everything, and no one is going to have anything to even put into the coffers of this capitalistic system. So I think we just have to be a little bit more wise in that regard. And as far as the social media thing is concerned, I know, Jeff, you were saying that, social media has been under attack for a while. And yes, that is true. But I also think that the bigger these platforms become, like Facebook and Twitter, where they get to this level where they're pretty much too big to fail, I think that their interests become more aligned with the agenda of the status quo. So I think that they are used more so as an extension, a tentacle of this government. So I don't want us to ever be fooled in thinking that, oh, Mark Zuckerberg is under attack, for giving us our rights to free speech. No, when Mark Zuckerberg and his folks are the ones that are canceling black people and putting us in jail every minute for telling the truth. So I just want us to be unequivocally clear that we are the ones who are under attack when it comes to free speech. And the more that we cheer on all of this nonsense, or even don't even, pay attention to it, it's the faster we head towards a dystopian nightmare.
Yes, no, that's absolutely right. I think it's funny also how fast and how quickly we react when it comes to finance, right? Like when it comes to money, there is no timetable. Oh, we'll wait it out and we'll see if it continues. No, we're shutting this down now. As soon as, like, obviously they let the GameStop stock skyrocket, and they were like, they probably didn't believe that it could do what it did, but it did. And so now the next one was, okay, let's get AMC to the moon. You kept seeing AMC to the moon yesterday, and this morning it was done. It was like, no, we let one of them get out of control, but we ain't letting this happen again, right? Like, we're not letting these people come up hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars for the second time, because like you said, it always comes back to economics. It's what we talk about a lot of times with when it comes to black people. One thing that they always try to prevent from us is getting economics, right? Getting the money, because once you let the people get the money, then they can choose what they do. They have real freedom, real liberation. And that's what we're starting to see. Once they get the money, they can dictate whatever they want. You don't no longer have control over them. Am I going crazy when I say that?
And how do you take away the economics? You take away the information. So go ahead, boys. Sorry.
No, you're right. I mean, that I don't know. I've spoken on economics a little bit through the years, and I've always felt that economics. That's the one thing. That's the one thing. Everything else becomes a distraction, because everything else is controlled by the one thing. When you have your money right, can't nobody tell you shit. You can do what you want. So if you ever want to really learn how to really battle oppression and white supremacy and everything else, I don't know a single Black person who's financially secure who feels oppressed on a daily basis. I just don't. Most of my Black friends that are doing well financially, they're not oppressed. They could actually become an oppressor if they chose to do that. It comes down to the damn money. You learn the money, teach that to your kids, and what I love about this movement the most, and I'm gonna say this, brother, I'm gonna bounce out because I want you guys to just do your conversation, man. I don't want to interfere. What I love about all this the most is it was always my dream to see like millions of our people like really following the stock market. I mean, everybody's into it. Everybody's into stocks and all that, and investing and making money and talking about how much money they made, from buying this stock and selling it and all that. And that's really exciting to me. And what I really want to do is, in terms of the next step, is help people make sure you understand the difference between being a trader and being an investor, right? Like rolling the dice and going to the casino boat. Like that's something that's fun. That's something we enjoy doing, but that's not how you build long-term sustainable wealth. So you take on the volatility initially, in the beginning, because you use the score trying to get a nut. You're trying to do some quick flips and make some big money. But then as you built that money up, you reduce your volatility because you go into the next stage of the game. It's protection. It's like Jeff. Jeff is a sports guy, and you know that a team that's losing the game by 30 points is going to take some chances, right? They're going to throw the ball down the field. They're going to shoot some 3-pointers, whatever you got to do to get in the game. Once you get the lead, you play a different kind of offense and a different kind of defense, right? In football, you start running the ball more because you want to protect the ball. You also, you play a prevent defense. You're not taking chances anymore, right? So ultimately, as everybody in here starts making money, and I'm telling you, I'm hearing from like students in the Black Business School that literally like guys are hitting me up like, I made 80 grand today. I made 40 grand this week. And I love it, right? Like just people getting money, change, like life-changing amounts of money. So what I'm saying is like, okay, now let's go to the next step of that, because that old saying that a fool and his money will soon part ways. That is true. So don't be a fool. Think carefully about long-term strategy so you can position yourself to protect the wealth that you're building. So that's it. But I love this, man. I think this is so much fun. I haven't had this much fun talking about stocks. I don't think I've ever had this much fun. This has literally been one of the funnest weeks I've ever had. So congratulations to everybody that's making their money. Good luck to you. Be smart, and I'll see you guys soon. So
Thank
thanks
you,
for having me in, brothers.
Yeah,
I appreciate it,
brother.
Appreciate
All
you,
right.
Dr. Tony.
Yeah.
Tony, what I want to ask you is, do you believe that this is something that could actually backfire? And what I mean by that is the purpose of shutting down those stocks on Robinhood and across the different platforms was to get people to sell and to get them disinterested, to get them to go away, shoot, like go on somewhere. And so this is a big boys game. We're sharks. You guys are uninformed investors, what some people like to call them. We want you to go away. But do you believe that this is something that could actually backfire and get more people invested and more people wanting to trade and be in the stock market and all those kind of things?
Well, yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen, because as you see, it's a standoff. And once people got to smell blood in the water, when they got that little bit of whiff and they saw the impact that this was having on these hedge funds and these billionaires, they're not going to back down. And I think that any action that is taken that is perceived in defense of the 1% is going to be pushed back more heavily. So yeah, I think this is going to backfire like crazy on Robinhood and any other trading platform that participates in this form of like censorship, this capital censorship. You know what I'm saying? It's all censorship.
That's it. It is censorship, because remember, we're talking about banning people from Facebook and Twitter, whether it's the president, whether it's Louis Farrakhan, whether it's different type of political figures or whatever. We're banning them from just talking. We're banning people from getting money. We're banning people from and not only are we banning them from getting money, we're costing them, or I'm not saying the trading platforms are costing them their money. They're costing them thousands of millions of dollars. Like, think about how much money that was probably lost. Now, obviously, there's the smart people. There's smart people like yourself, like Dr. Boyce, that knows about the different type of platforms. They know about the TD Ameritrades and the E-Trades and the, Webull and all these different type of social media apps. But there's a lot of Robinhood users that are in their early 20s or mid 20s or whatever, that don't know nothing about the stock market. They're learning about it from Reddit. They're learning about it from YouTube. And they barely have any inkling of it. And so they don't know that you can go to these different platforms and actually take advantage of it.
And that's something people really need to pay attention to. You can go to another platform. Listen, just like how you're supposed to have a diversified portfolio.
Absolutely.
Do the exact same thing with your platforms that you trade on. You know what I'm saying? Spread your money out, whatever it is. If you made some money in Robinhood, take a little bit of that money and go open a Webull account, or open a TD Ameritrade. Each one of these platforms, they have certain advantages to them. Like with Robinhood, I would say Robinhood is far more user-friendly than anything else. And it includes a lot of, step-by-step instruction to make sure that you know what you're doing. And we know why, because Robinhood is probably the most attacked platform that is out there because it entertains new investors. But then you have platforms like Webull that allow you to engage in the trading through the extended market hours as far back. It starts at 4 a.m. You can start trading as early as 4 a.m. and as late as 8 p.m. So that's one of the advantages of Webull. So why it may not be as user friendly, but it is extensive in the amount of options that you have. And there are just so many different benefits to having different platforms where you can literally be on Webull, watching the trades in real time, and then you can be on your Robinhood just doing what you do based on what you're watching on Webull. So that's what I do. Think or swim. So there's a lot of different things. So I suggest that people really do their research on these platforms. And I'm very happy to see such a huge interest in the younger generation, and particularly our people, in wealth building and getting in the stock market. Because I tried the stock market a few years ago and I lost a lot of money, and I just got back in, when the market, just before the market crashed. Just before the pandemic. And market crash. But so I've done pretty well during that time. I engage mostly in options trading. But I think it's still important if you're going to be an options trader, you still need to be trading the stocks as well. So Yeah, brother.
It is definitely something that is entertaining to say the least, but it is a way to actually have wealth within your family and wealth with
Yes.
a skill. It's a skill that you can pass down and a skill that you can learn to generate another source of income, right? Like some people still have jobs or have businesses or whatever. Like whatever you do you. But the thing is, you want to be able to have that financial liberation. Right. And that's what the sad thing about what Robinhood's doing, what some of these other platforms are doing, but you are still able to capitalize if you, like you said, expand your portfolio, expand your knowledge of these different trading apps. Like they're trying to give you, like you said, a financial censorship, which is dangerous. And these class action lawsuits are coming. I'm sure, Tony, we could probably do one of these lives for the next 2 weeks because there's going to be new information, new investigations, class action lawsuits, because people have lost a ton of money because of just one action. And that's not allowing you to trade on these certain platforms, trade certain stocks. So I know this is something that we're going to watch very, very closely. Once again, I'm talking to Tony Lindsay, the film director, is also financially literate. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. Tony, I want to get your final thoughts before we get out of here. I know I kept you a long time, but your final thoughts on what took place today and what do you believe is going to happen moving forward?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway from this is financial literacy, all around financial literacy. I think the more people have access to information, then the more educated we become on the scam of whether it be the stock market, but the scam of the American project. And, so it's really encouraging to me. And the funny thing about it is this whole thing started because of greed. It started because of greed. And with GameStop in particular, the primary interest in that stock, it was more than 80% short interest in GameStop in that stock. And Melvin Capital, the one that we've been hearing about so much in the news, they had a 120% short interest in that stock. That's the epitome of greed. So I think that the establishment and the 1% have been getting so comfortable hoarding so much money and getting so much, they don't hide it anymore. Just as the mainstream media doesn't hide their malfeasance and their allegiance to these corporations anymore. I think that the system, this government, the veil is lifted and no one's hiding it anymore. They're just straight disrespecting us. They're silencing us, and there's like no expectation of any pushback. So what we see from Wall Street bets is symbolic of the pushback that is needed and is very possible against the establishment. And I want us all to take heed to that. So social media is a powerful force. And I do want to say one last thing. This is the importance that we're seeing of social media, yes, but it's more so our ability to communicate with each other over these platforms. And if we know that our right to communicate is under assault right now through censorship, we need to start building our own independent media platforms, starting with this brother here, Jeff, and Dr. Boyce Watkins, and me. Listen, I believe in diverse opinions. So I don't have to agree with you to support your right to say what you have to say.
Absolutely.
Therefore, we need to get behind all forms of independent media, because honestly, the most truth that you will find nowadays is from independent media sources. Yes. So let go of the CNNs or the MSNBCs, or you can still watch them if you want, but I suggest you add other platforms to media sources to your portfolio so you can expand your point of view.
Yes, like you said, the black media, the black independent media, we'll give it to you raw and uncut. We have no agendas. We have nobody that we're answering to. We're not getting a kickback from so and so, like to say their name. Like this is just is what it is. And we just tell you what we're seeing. We tell you what's going on. And we're not. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm sure Tony would say he's not a financial advisor. So I'm not someone that's telling you where to put your money, what to do with your money. I'm just telling you what I see. I'm just telling you what's going on, and you can make your own informed decision. What I will say what I think is coming from this, there is hell coming from the decision that was made this morning. I don't know if it's going to come from Capitol Hill. I don't know if Robinhood's going to lose half their investors on their platform. I don't know which direction it's coming, but it's coming. The simple fact that you got someone as like AOC and Donald Trump Jr. agreeing on something is going to come from that. That's not going to stop. It's going to end up on Joe Biden's desk, and there's either going to be a militia formed from this, or it's going to be like some sort of like regulation. It's either going to be either or, and that to me is not going to be a good thing, because the fact that you're trying to silence the little guy, silence the David, right? Like it's like David versus Goliath, but in this case, Goliath is starting to win. We know in the Bible story, David actually won, but Goliath has actually got the upper hand at this point. But at some point, David is going to strike back. And that is what's going to come from this. I'm interested to see what happens next, because Robinhood is just the beginning. But somebody is paying Robinhood or making sure Robinhood is taken care of for not allowing people to buy any more AMC, BlackBerry, GameStop. That's not by coincidence. They say it's to protect you. No, it's to protect them. It's to protect them. And so that is the reason why they're doing it. It was a calculated decision, but it's one I think will backfire, because it won't stop millennials from getting into the stock market. It's only going to push them even further. I see on Twitter all day, what's going on with stocks? Why are people talking about the market? What's happening? What is GMC? What is AMC? What is GME, which is GameStop? What is option trading? And people are going to be more and more in tune, more and more informed, and they're going to come to platforms like this and different other and segments that Dr. Boyce does and try to get more informed, because they're only going to come out in masses. Because the thing is, when you try to oppress a people, it starts, you get a pushback. Anytime you try to oppress people always want to push back. Now, obviously, there's going to be people to tell you, you don't need to get into that. That's not your battle. That, stocks and stuff are for the big wigs or for the millionaires. No, there's going to be an uprising of young, smart investors or people that want to be more knowledgeable from this one decision that took place this morning. So that's all I got, Tony. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, this is the Black Boss Channel. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell on your way out. Thank you guys for tuning in once again, and we will